Welcome to Firehouse Stories, where we tell behind-the-scenes stories of the fire department and people that work in the fire department. My name is Bob, and this is Doug, and we have a special guest today. We have Jeff with us, and Jeff's full of stories as well. So I'm going to start off one with a sort of a car accident. We had told one earlier about good story ones, and this one it's a good story, but it's a funny story. We were at Central. We got a call, and right at one of the main corners of downtown, Central and Richmond Street. They said there was a pickup on fire with a man trapped inside. So, my gosh, all of a sudden your blood pressure just starts to go like that, right? You hear that, right? So, hop in the truck. And we got there and jumped out, and as we pulled onto the street, you could see where it was, and it was just a big blob of white smoke, like you couldn't see in it or anything like that, but it was white. And I was thinking, how come that's not dark, because a car fire usually just black smoke, right? But okay, so we stopped the car and get out. I was just beside this cloud and go in, and all you hear is, well, there was an old guy that was in behind like older than Doug, that was in behind the wheel. And he made the corner, but he didn't quite make the corner, and he ran into there used to be a restaurant there with a cow on it.
Richmond and
right across from Joe Cool's almost. But anyways, he hit something there, and his front end just stopped. But he wanted to get out, so he thought, I can get out, and he just pressed on the gas. And all the smoke we were seeing was the smoke coming off of the tires that were spinning like around everything, So we go in, and the Badger is my captain, right? And he's looking over my shoulder, and this guy's in behind the wheel, right? He's got the door locked, and I'm knocking on the door, and he's going. I said, roll down the window. He says, oh, what? As soon as he rolled it down, I reached in and unlocked the door, right? It was one of those locks, right? Yeah. And opened the door. And I says, come on, sir, we'll have to get out now. I mean, this smoke's not good for us. And it's still roaring, And Conley finally said, or the captain finally said, take him out, Bob, take him out. So I just sort of reached in, and this guy was I'm sure he was 85 years old, right? And he might have weighed 110 pounds, just a skinny, small fella, right? And so I reached in almost and picked him up under his knees and came out like that. And as he's coming out, he has his cane on the seat. As he's coming out, I'm backing out to get him away and trying to back him out. And he's like this over my back. Wham, wham. Wailing my back with his cane.
Occupational hazard.
Yeah. I remember Rogers on the truck. He says, he loved that. The shoes on the other foot that time.
Oh, you would have relived that one many times over. I bet back in the hall. Right?
Yeah, we did. You got one, don't you, Doug?
But I bet the guy got bigger and tougher in the story as it went on. Right?
Oh yeah.
It would change a bit.
Yeah.
I had a story. Actually, I was on the heavy rescue up at 7 Company in the East End, and it's close to a college, and these 3 girls were heading into the college on the car. Anyhow, they have an accident. A pickup truck went through a stop sign, hit the side of them, flipped the car into the ditch, drainage ditch. It was upside down. The guy in the truck, the pickup truck, it hit so hard, it popped the motor right out of the hood. And the motor was on the road in front of the truck. The girls were in the ditch. We arrived on scene. I'm not used to the rescue truck. All this bullshit, rescuing people and stuff. I wasn't used to it. I was new on the job. The girls are in the ditch. They're screaming, yelling. This guy looked pretty peaceful in his pickup truck. I thought, well, I'm gonna go and look after him. So I started walking towards him. And the other guys are all heading towards the girls with yelling and screaming and everything. So anyways, I get closer to him, and as I get closer, all of a sudden he changes his attitude, and he starts screaming, I can't see! And I'm like, oh my God, and I looked at him, and he's got no face. It's just all blood. I'm like, what have I got myself into? And one of the guys on the rescue truck came over and he says to me, he says, "Well, help him." I said, "Help him do what?" And he said, "Well, help him see." So he went over and what looked like his goatee, he picked up and it was the top of his head, his hair. He scalped himself, put his head through the windshield, came back, and it slipped down in over his face. So he couldn't see. As soon as it was back on top, his face was normal. He said, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell one that's a little later if you want.
All right. Well, that was sort of that's a good.
Yeah, that's a good
I mean,
one. But
the guy didn't get
everybody
hurt. He got
survived.
his sight back.
a few stitches and he's all back.
Back
right?
to normal.
Yeah,
Maybe even a better hairline. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bit better than mine.
Might have even improved his looks.
I'll tell a food related one. So we're having ribs one night at the fire hall, and they're halfway done, and we get a call that we've got to go to one of the adjoining halls for joint training with another group. So okay, well I was the cook, and driving the pump. So I took the great big roasting pan and stuck it in the back of the pump. We had an outside ride at the time, so the jump seats were open. So I had to depend on one of the riders to make sure he kept it in place for the ride. So as expected, on the way to this adjoining hall, we get an alarm to a local military installation in London, Wolseley Barracks, and we're first in, of course. So we get there okay. The ribs are intact in the back, and the guys go off and do their thing, and I'm just waiting in the pump as the driver. And by this time, everyone's evacuated out of this place. So there's like 40 or 50 military people all standing in this sort of parade area where we're staged. And so my captain radios me and says, "Jeff, we're down at the other end. We're clear here. Just relocate down to the south end of here." So, of course, I forgot about my ribs at this stage. So I wheel quickly around to relocate the truck, and I hear a clang, and then at that point I know what it is. So basically, right at the feet of about 40 or 50 military people, my great big cauldron of ribs in sauce has dumped itself onto the tarmac. So I had to quickly just jump out of the truck and act like this is just a regular thing, and here I am. And they're hot too.
Flavoring them.
They're hot too. So like I'm getting them back. There's some gravel in there as well, but we'll deal with that later and get it back on. So yeah, that was a little bit embarrassing, but we survived, and the ribs did survive. So
You got to eat the ribs
we got to eat the ribs later.
Were they tender? Were they tenderized?
They were a little tenderized, right? You could call them Roadhouse
Roadhouse
ribs, right? Oh, I don't know where that came from. So, talking about food in the fire hauling, we all know there's nothing more important than food and lots of it. Number one rule.
Doesn't have to be good.
Yeah.
It just has to be lots
I
of
got a kick out of that 9/11 documentary where the French guy in the fire hall during 9/11 makes a rack of lamb, I think, for the boys in one of the halls, and he drastically undershoots the volume amount, right? And I thought, well, that's so true. The one thing you never want to do is not make enough food, right?
Exactly.
So leftovers are obviously a given for most meals, and everyone's full. And you got these leftovers, and like a 2 company with a great big island, and you'd leave them out there, but the guys would just sort of walk past them, right, because they've had too much to eat. So one of the guys got smart, and it doesn't matter what it was. He would just take, maybe it's roast beef, steak, ribs, and you just cut it all up into little pieces. And a lot of times he would stick toothpicks in them, and then you'd leave them out there, and then they would go.
They're all gone.
They're all gone. So it's all in
It's
the
not like
delivery.
eating anything, right?
Well, exactly.
No calories in those.
Yeah,
things.
for sure.
If you can put it on a toothpick, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Exactly. Just little morsels at that point. So.
Well, I guess our time's done today, so thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed telling the stories. If you'd like us to come to your mailbox every Friday, please press the follow button. Otherwise, we post every Friday, and be sure to put your comments down, see what you liked and what you didn't like. Thank you. Until then, be safe.